So what are we jamming on now? Jay, what are you jamming on now? Other than fucking Fester's Quest.
Josh, I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons Dark Alliance. Have you tried it?
This is an Xbox thing?
Oh, you don't even know. Yes. So it just came out day and date. So, which means for our listeners, that means it was released the first day it was released. It also was released to Game Pass. And I actually got to play it a few days early with a demo, obviously, because I work for Microsoft. There was an insider. And it's out now. Everything's good. People can play it. I haven't seen the reviews being as glowing as I feel about it, but to me, it's a freaking blast. It's like a combination.
FPS?
No, it's kind of like it's a combination of like Rise of the Tomb Raider. If you've seen like the Xbox versions, the Rise of the Tomb Raider series, and like Assassin's Creed Odyssey in terms of your gameplay. So you're still like your first person, like you would be in like The Witcher 3, like you're still that perspective.
So over the shoulder, like third.
Yeah. But it's a blast to me. Like, I've never played a live Dungeons and Dragons type
of game. Are you in a party or are you?
No, so you can. There's definitely a heavy multiplayer aspect, but there's like 4 or 5 characters you can choose from who are set up. They have different weapons that they use, different races that they are, different parts that they play. But you get to choose to be one of them, and you just play through the story, and you do different missions. I'm not that far into it, obviously, but you can definitely group up with other people, multiplayer, and do them together. So I haven't got to do that yet because I still feel like I'm way too new at it at the beginning. But yeah, it seems like it'll be fun. A fun game to play.
Fucking Dungeons & Dragons story world is really good.
I'm telling, if you like it, and that's the thing about it. Again, I've never played one of the live D games, so I'm like the story's just lost on me. It's just like, oh, this story's happening. Okay.
I have played I shouldn't say a million D&D games. I've played, there's probably been a half dozen in my life that I have gotten into and really played, most of them on PC and stuff. And it's just so big. The story world is so big that, you're talking, no joke, dude. That shit was created late 70s. There's 40 years of just like, there's 40 years of lore coming out of an entity that is like prolific in their lore creation. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's the most possible lore that could be created in a 40-year span. And they've just been rocking and rolling on it for that long. And there's just, they basically have nothing to do with each other is kind of what I'm getting at. Like, whatever the story is in that game I can't even, like, it's going to be nothing that I've ever heard of or seen or could grasp, or like, it's going to be like playing a completely new IP. Every game is like a new IP, I guess, is kind of what I'm getting at there. So yeah, just the style of it is very cool, and I'm sure that story-wise, at least, I'll probably be into it.
Yeah, so, I was seeing some reviews online, man. People were saying that it seems like another similar game. I can't remember the name, like some Warhammer game or something. And I've never played that, never heard of that. But to me,
I think I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen that though. I've looked at those. There's like I think there's like 2 or 3 of them. I think I was looking at those in one of my last like hunting for an RPG kind of fucking little quests, And I think I remember that name sounds kind of familiar. And it is, yeah, it is. If it's what I'm thinking of, it seemed very D&D, which is why I was looking at it in the first place, So if it doesn't just like differentiate itself, maybe. But I haven't played that, so who cares?
So play this game, download it. I'm new enough that we could like jump in and party together. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
my little
pass.
Yeah, my little rant here will definitely highlight the fact that I do not have a game to play right now. So yeah, I'm down to check that out for sure.
Nice. And then other than that, man, really only just playing some Rocket League when I've had time. Still having fun with it, but only really playing when I play with the family, because when we play, we're already one team, so it's very easy to jump into a match. Much tougher when it's just me by myself. So yeah, that's pretty much that. And Halo 5, got back into that just for the PvP aspect, just for something to jump into quick, 15 minutes type of thing. Because that's all I've had time for these days.
Feel that? Yeah, I don't really have a fuck around game right now either. Word. Okay. Well, as you might imagine, played some Subnautica.
Big surprise.
I beat it. It was incredible.
You beat it?
Yeah, I beat it. Yeah. Wow. the ending was fantastic, and I feel empty and sad inside that the story is over, and that, you know, essentially however long it takes them to churn out a new one, particularly for platform, maybe the next round won't be sit on the PC for so long before it comes to console, but it'll still be a long time, I'm sure. Despite the absolute certainty I have that a new iteration will be coming.
Oh, nice.
They fucked like they, you know, it was the perfect combination of, you know, when you have a sequel to a game, you want to see those little quality of life improvements that like show they're paying attention to like the things that people bitched about that sucked, that didn't work, whatever it might be in the first iteration of the game. So like that's a, you know, just a, I mean, it's a small, it's a known small team. That Outer Worlds, I think, is the name of the company. Like they're a known small team. They like it. You know, I watched an interview. I think I talked about a long time back, talking to the guy who, you know, started the company and created the game. Like you can just tell that the dude, like, it's his baby, and it's not, you know. And granted, that shit, after enough money flows in, someone will acquire them, and that'll get fucked up eventually too. But like right now, you can tell that he cares so much about it staying true to the whole core idea of like non-combative exploration in an alien world. This, like, you know, almost like, what's that called? Like the conservation. It's almost like a conservation idea, and like the way it like stays true to like, you know, you're this, you know, it's a little bit of an allegory for the fucking world fucking up the oceans right now on planet Earth, you know. It's like there's just care and love in a lot of TLC in it. And so that is clearly apparent in just like the mechanics of the game. But then also with a sequel, you're always, I am anyways, worried that the story is going to be not nearly as developed, as well thought out, as whatever, just because they're trying to create a sequel, as opposed to all the incubation time that an initial idea has before it gets out into the world. You know what I mean? A sequel. This is so true with like movie television properties. Is fucking the sequels always suck because there's just, you know, a 20% or some minute fraction of the time spent creating it that there is in the first one. So that wasn't at all a problem. I thought the story was better actually in the second one than the first one.
Wow.
So yeah, just everything about it fucking fantastic. I did end up having to tactfully Google the very last part of the game, which I'm very ashamed that I had to do. Like, I had been stuck for weeks, dude. Like I story wise, I mean, there's, you know, there's, that's just another reason the game is so great. Like, you can be stuck story wise forever, and you're still, every time you go out, if you're really just going out and like, I'm just going to go literally explore in a way that I cannot explain. There's no gaming experience I can think of, maybe ever, but without question in recent memory, where you're incentivized and both incentivized and rewarded to go out and really just incrementally explore every square inch that you can fucking get to, you know. And the way the game set up, the way it's so vertically and horizontally open worldy, like, that means there's just no, you know, I beat the game. I was playing last night with the dumb shit that I'm doing now, the roundup shit that I'll get to later, and like I found a PDA, which is like the way you find kind of story. It's the way, it's one of the ways anyways that you find story elements. I found a fucking PDA right outside my base that I had never found. Like, I mean, no joke, dude, like 50 meters from the main exit of my base. And like, I've been playing this game. It's like 4 days or something that I've played this game now since I downloaded it, like the counter on the time played, you know. And like, I've never found this thing just inches from my base, you know. So just you know, and there's just so much to consume. So every time you do that, you find things and just stumble onto things. So even if you're not making progress in the actual story, you're still making incremental progress and then finding new things and discovering things and learning things about the environment or the fucking the fauna and flora, that's whatever, it's the physics of the world. Like, it's just a constant discovery, and that is such a fucking fun thing, at least for me, the way what I want out of a video game. And so yeah, so it wasn't a waste of time, but I'd been stuck in the actual story forever. So I was like, I just got to a point where I was just turning the game on, just like wandering around my base aimlessly. You know, like, just fucking like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to fucking do. I'm just like trying to think. It's like trying to get a cue from something. Like, what do I do? Like, what's the next thing? I have no idea what to do. So I had to so I was like, yeah, super like fucking I don't know, like tactful is the only word to say. Like the keywords I'm using and what I allow myself to click on after the fact are like super conservative and like making sure I don't ruin, especially this part of the game, let alone any part of the game, but like super careful about what I'm Googling. And I was so conservative that I interpreted the information that I found poorly because I like skimmed it and didn't really internalize it. So like I actually saw it led to me doing another failed experiment essentially instead of finding the solution to the thing that I was trying to find a solution for. So like I had to go back and like re-Google and reread the thing again. And what I ended up learning from the World Wide Web was that like it's kind of what I was suspecting anyhow, that there was the existence of a place beyond a place that I didn't think led anywhere, despite the fact I had extensively and gotten lost in it numerous times over, explored the fuck out of it. You know what I mean? So it was just, because it was exactly what I knew, that I just didn't push further and harder, or far enough and hard enough. So I went in there, I gave myself better bearings with beacons, these little things that just fucking, they put a little marker, as you might imagine. And like that gave me, which again, just like, it's just such common sense. Like, oh, I don't know where to go or even which direction to go. Put a marker and go the other way. Like it's like super simple solution to the problem, and I just didn't. Whatever. And so I pushed further deeper, and it was like absolutely like again, because it's not a game predicated on battle. So like, how do you make that final run harder exactly? Like, what is the way to do that? And like, yes, you have things that are imposing enemies of sorts or creatures. You're not supposed to think of them as enemies, I don't think. But like the things and the way the environment kind of railroaded you through their presence was very well done. And it was, there are fucker leviathans prowling the end of this game. They're just like, fuck. And like, that's the thing too. Like you, because they're not, they can be threatening, or they are threatening, of course, but like, again, you're not supposed to, like, they're just, it's like the great white shark phenomena. It's like, like, yes, they will fucking eat you if you're out there fucking with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they are geared to do a certain thing in this environment. That's like their function in the fucking ecosystem. And if you get in the way or you feed into their purpose, you will die. Like, that's like, it doesn't mean they're like ill-willed or trying to hurt you necessarily. It's just, they're just doing what they do, these things, like what the way they get you is like really frustrating, because like, it fucks with your submersible, and like they did a really good job. The first one had a really cool, the Reapers, which is like, I hate it. It's not spoilery, but like the first one had like the worst enemy in the first one, or one of the worst enemies in the first one, had a very cool like gotcha animation, and every time, like, I played that game even more than this one maybe, and like every time one of those fucking Reapers got you, it was just like, ah. like same thing with this. Like, they nailed this just as well. Like, every time they get you, it's like, ah. Like, fuck. Because like, it is very punitive, and you don't know it, because that's just the mechanic of the game is so good in that way, that like, when you're trying to run from things, and when you're running from things, you're in a submersible and you're running away from it, so you can't see it. It's just like, it's just the most basic mechanic for like jump scare or thriller kind of video games, and like just the way you have to engage it forces you to be surprised, and it's just, again, the game is so fucking good. It's incredible. Nice. So I finished it, and now I'm of course going back in, and like, I'm getting all the creature eggs I didn't get, and fleshing out parts of the game I wasn't able to fully sort, pushing the limits of the base building system, yada yada yada. So like, there's still things to do and play, even though the really cool story is kind of ran its course. But go play Subnautica if you haven't played Subnautica, Jay. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you or not. I started fucking twice. Yeah, I started fucking with No Man's Sky a little bit also, and I think I might have mentioned that in the group chat. It's a little intriguing, and like, I don't know, like, it's almost like too complex. Like, I turned it on last night trying to, like, okay, I'm gonna fucking try it again, and like, I don't know. I get into the like I just don't like. I know what my objective is, but like I get into the menu system and stuff, and I'm looking at it. I'm just like, this is like I can't even begin to digest what I'm looking at. You know what I mean? It's just like too opaque, too something. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't know.
jumped into that. I felt the same thing, man. Because again, one of my buddies from the old ESO guild got heavy into it, and I messed around with it too, and I was just like, man, there's so much. I just don't know.
I just
I don't know if
can't.
I have the time to just like immerse myself into this.
Right. And that's kind of like it sucks that because like I was when I first played it, I was going through the tutorial stuff, and like that of course holds your hand and gets you understanding things, and like just like the little bit of time since I did that, it's just like gone, man. Like I'm just like I have no idea, what I have no idea how to do the thing that's telling me I should be doing,
Yeah.
So that's frustrating. So like I was like before I did that, I was like I should finish Outer Worlds first. That was a cool game, and so I tried it, and I didn't even understand what was happening at first. I turned it on, and it was just like this error message comes up, and it's like your Xbox thing needs to be fucking something. I'm like, fuck you. I have the fucking a year of the most expensive X. Fuck you. Like that's not. You're wrong. I just keep fucking hitting on trying it again, and I'm like, and I realized one of the times I went back to the menu that the Game Pass logo wasn't there anymore, so they took Outer Worlds off Game Pass. And this is what I fucking told you. I didn't want it to happen to me. And yeah, you and your bullshit illicit gaming outfit would fuck me like this, Jay. I fucking knew it. So I'm just gonna quit video games entirely. Between this and the X-Men on the NES fiasco, I can't trust anyone ever enough to love again, and I have to just do nothing.
Well, you should have finished it, Josh. Yeah, I feel like that's only happened to me like once, but it was with a game that I don't even remember. It's kind of like, oh yeah, I was gonna play that game. Whatever. Yeah.
Definitely, man. Outer Worlds is fucking cool, man. I definitely wanted to fucking finish that game. Subnautica got in the way.